Hey there, card folks, Speedrobo here, and now it's time for part 2 of my Springfest 2018 wrap-up. We're going to be talking about what I did during the Buddy Fight event, and as I'm sure many of you could have guessed, I was playing my Skull Warrior deck in the event, as it is my favorite deck. So, let's get started. Flag is Katana World, and the Buddy is Skull Warrior, Bones of the Four Birds, Akuten Haba. Let's talk size 3s first. 4 copies of the Buddy as expected. You've seen her before on this channel, but let's give her another review. A 9/2/4 size 3 impact monster for 2 gauge and destroying a Skull Warrior on your field. When she attacks, you mill the top 4 cards of your deck and deal 1 damage to your opponent for each Skull Warrior in that top 4, and she has Move. This is how you kill your opponent. I like dealing 6 damage, 4 of it in burn, 2 of it in crit. Next, 4 copies of Heavenly Vengeance Full Equip Kanon. 7/2/5 size 3 for 2 gauge and top card into Soul. If this card is on your left or right, the Skull Warrior or Water in your center is reduced by 2 in size. Counteract to destroy a Skull Warrior or Water on your field. If you do, charge 1, heal 1 once per Penetrate Soul Guard. This is a very important card, and is how you're going to be getting most of your gauge. Size 2s. 4 copies of Celestial Deity of the Misty Dew Water Nanase. 6/2/6 size 2 for 2 gauge and 2 waters from the drop into Soul. Double attack, Soul Guard. When he is destroyed, destroy a monster on your opponent's field, charge 1 and drain 1 of your opponent's gauge. So as I'm sure you can guess, Nanase to center, Kanon to the side. There you go, that's your primary formation. And the last size 2. 4 copies of Flash of Purple Arc Hyojuru. This card is fantastic for any Skull Warrior deck. 5/2/4 size 2 that destroys itself at the end of the turn. When he enters the field, if you have another Skull Warrior on your field, destroy a monster on your opponent's field. If you do, charge equal to the size of that monster. I will let you know right now that this card ends up getting sideboarded out of my deck a lot, and it did end up getting sideboarded out of my deck a lot during the tournament, because a lot of times you just can't destroy your opponent's monsters. And when you're playing Prism Dragons all day like this guy, yeah. Size 1s are next. 4 copies of Snake Princess Setsuna. Let me just check. Yup, this card is still fantastic. Run her at 4. Two copies of Retainer of the Demonic Dragon, Dragon Bones. 3/2/1 size 1. When he enters the field, you mill 2 and act. Pay 1 gauge. If you do, put a size 3 from your drop into your hand once per turn. This recycles Kanon and the Buddy. Great stuff. And so one of the combos in the deck is Bones in the drop, calls Setsuna, bring back Bones, activate Bones, Kanon to hand, call Kanon, destroy Bones, activate any on-destroy skills. Good stuff. Next, size 1. 4 copies of Yamagitsune Hidden in Garments. 5/2/1 size 1. Call cost of 1 gauge and 1 life. When a monster or item on your field deals damage to your opponent, you may destroy that card. If you do, gain 1 life, draw 1 card. This is your primary draw engine for the deck. I like it a lot because it activates destroy abilities as well. And last size 1, 4 copies of Master Clown Dark Fox. 6/2/1 size 1 for 1 gauge. At the end of a battle that a Skull Warrior on your field attacked, choose a monster on your opponent's field, and you may destroy a monster on your field. If you do, put a soul from the chosen card into the drop zone and destroy that card. Yay, do you want your opponent's board to not exist? Okay, problem solved. Kablasta. Size 0s. 4 copies of First Omni Beast Messenger Goshigoma 2/1/2 size 0. If a size 2 or greater Katana World monster would be called from your hand, reduce its call cost by 1 gauge. This is super convenient as it's a way to charge gauge in your deck, and it still is a Skull Warrior attribute. Good stuff. 4 copies of Premature Passing BB Wakazu, and one of them is extra shiny. 2/1/1 size 0. When he enters the field from hand, search your deck for up to 2 waters or skulls and put them in the drop zone. This is a great way to set up, searching for things like Nanase and Kanan and then pulling them back from the drop. And when he attacks alone, he can't be nullified. Really nice card, great way to set up. Spells. 2 copies of Demon Wave Fresh Blood Nectar. Pay 1 gauge, search your deck for a water monster, put it into your hand. You can only cast this once per turn. Wow, it's a generic search card. Yeah, that's good. 4 copies of Art of Shadow Stitching. Pay 1 gauge, counter, nullify the attack, choose the attacking monster. It cannot stand. So, if your opponent's card says it can't be rested, this gets around it. If your opponent has Sextuple Attack, prevent it from standing. I like this card a lot. It is a very good nullify. Run it. Two copies of Water Technique Minawaga Kushi. Pay 2 gauge, return a monster, item, or spell on the field to its owner's hand. Sadly, current state of the game is that you need some way to bounce cards on your opponent's field back to their hand. You just kind of have to in your deck now, and this is the best way to do it in Katana World. So, there you go. And the last card is 4 copies of Waterploy River Festival. You may only cast this card when a monster on your field is destroyed. Counter, put a water monster or a size 1 or less monster from your drop zone into your hand. This is one of the biggest playmakers in your deck, as whenever any monster on your field would be destroyed, you cast this, recycle whatever you need. This is fantastic. Alright, and before we go, let's talk sideboard. In my sideboard, I run 4 copies of Demon Way Sakura Fubuki. It is the spell null for Katana World, and I like it a lot. It's very useful in certain matchups, such as Prisms. 4 copies of Chest Break. Does your opponent have annoying set spells? Not anymore. Chest Break sends them back into the deck. Doesn't destroy them. Put them back in the deck. I like that a lot. This is a great card. And the last card in my sideboard, my last 2 copies of Water Technique Minawaga Kushi. I'm sure you could have figured that this was going to be in here. So yeah, when your opponent's stuff can't be destroyed or can't be nulled, put in Minawaga Kushi and you're good to go. So that was my deck. I went through it pretty quickly because this deck that I took is very similar to the previous Skull Warrior / Water deck profile that I did. I just wanted to show you the changes that I made for this tournament and the changes that I made to counter, or hopefully counter, the big meta of Prisms, Chaos, Thunder Empire running around. And before we go, I want to give a shout out to TCG Buzz. I got to play them again during this tournament, and they are just fantastic guys. Lots of fun. Check out their channel. So I've been Speedrobo, and I'll see you later.